Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector. And I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. Specifically, I want to welcome you to Ready, Set, Go, which is my weekly preview show that we do every Sunday, typically around 7:30. So I have to apologize. I was actually sitting on my sofa yesterday. Someone sent me a message and said, "Hey, Reggie, are you still going live?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, I am going live tomorrow at 7:30, that being today." And they were like, "So people are waiting for you to go live right now." So I use the beta version of YouTube, and sometimes it doesn't always save things the right way. So you'll put something in there, you'll hit the save button, and then if you don't go back and check it a couple of more times, sometimes something won't get saved quite right. So I definitely want to apologize to anyone who tuned in yesterday thinking that they were actually going to see this preview show yesterday. It is always going to be on Sunday unless something crazy happens. And if that happens, I will give you guys a heads up in advance. So you have my apology. I should have gone back and check it. That's totally my fault. So we're going to get into the agenda in just a couple of moments, but I want to say hello to the people that are here in the room right now. So who do we have here? Wolf Mode 88 is here. Big Wheel is in the house. Chris Barrett is here. Revival is in the house. Walt, how you doing, brother? Randy is here. Broke Cuz of Comics is in the house. I think I just saw some of you guys over at White Whale's auction earlier today. It's good to see you guys again. Thanks. I don't know how to say that. Thanks, Box, maybe. Good to see you, brother. Comic Book NYC is in the house. Comic Lover Omega is here. Geek of the West is in the house. Dying Breed Comics is good to see you. Tina Cranston, always good to see you. Who else is here? Connecting Comics and Beers. Danny is here. It is good to see all of you guys. Welcome to everyone. I hope you guys are having an excellent weekend. One thing that I want to make mention before we jump in the agenda is that the giveaway that I give away one slab every single week. That giveaway basically runs until Sunday morning. So when I get up first thing Sunday, I try to put a post up saying, "Hey, the giveaway is closed. Stay tuned," because I'm actually going to put the list up. So anyone that posts, a comment on the video after that, unfortunately, we can't include it because it cuts off on Sunday morning as soon as I get up. So I definitely want to apologize to anyone. And I think there were maybe 3 people that commented after I put that post up. So I have to apologize to you guys. I try to keep it fair every single week. So that is definitely the goal. All right. So what we're going to talk about today, we are definitely going to get to the drawing, and we are going to do a live drawing right now. Well, not right now, but later in this program for the Batman Damned #1, the variant. We're going to give that thing away. It is a gorgeous 9.8 that we're going to give away. We're also going to show the book that's going to be given away this coming week. So definitely stay tuned for that. And we're going to spend a little bit of time right at the beginning, like we normally do for this show, talking about some news that has hit. And there have been 2 big news events, and I'm actually going to prioritize one over the other, but we're going to get into that in just a moment, and then hopefully hear what you guys' thoughts are. And then I'll also be telling you guys about some of the content that's going to be released on the channel a little bit later. So Victor is in the house. How you doing? Musher is here. Sage is here. Thierry, it's good to see you, brother. Mr. Comics 89 is in the house. Fish and Freak is here. It is good to see all you guys. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do so that you can actually stay abreast of all the content that's released on a weekly basis. You also want to make sure you subscribe, because if you do win the contest, that is one of the requirements, that you are actually a subscriber to the channel, that you have an address in the US or be in Canada. So just a couple of the requirements to be aware of. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you guys to do that. And shout out to everyone who has also given a thumbs up already on this video. I definitely appreciate that. So Lewis is asking the question, how often I change the wall up. Brother, thank you for noticing. It took me like 40 minutes earlier today. I made a couple of changes back there. I've been trying to keep the room a little exciting. So I've been trying to move things around. to give you guys something different to see. And so that's what I'm attempting to do back there. Jeff Comic 813, it's good to see you, brother. Welcome to the chat. So it depends on what's going on and how busy I am. But today I had some time, and so I moved a couple of things around. There's a couple of new things back there as well. So some stuff that was on the front wall that's now on the back wall. Then I moved a couple of things around. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the new scenery and also the new setup. And I still have to do my new video where I actually show you guys some stuff here in the room that's changed. So hopefully maybe next week I'll have some time to do that. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is all of this news and controversy that's going on right now, where people have been sending me a lot of messages like the last 2 days about two specific topics. One of them I'll talk about, and it is the rumor that DC is shutting down Marvel Comics. This is a tough one. This one is a tough one because why would they do that? Why would they do that? So I want to spend a little time, maybe you guys have heard this. Comic Books NYC says, but all the movies and merch come from the source material. And if it makes very little sense that they abandon it entirely. Yes. So again, that is one of the very points. So again, I've seen a couple of news articles. Here's one right now that says Disney shutting down Marvel Comics ? That is the headline for this article. And there are many of them that start like that. And so people are sending me messages like, I can't believe they're going to do this. What do you think? Is this really going to happen? Et cetera, et cetera. So here's the thing. It's not going to happen. At least I don't think that it's going to happen. So I actually took some time because I'm a big fan of facts. Right. I'm a big fan of facts. So what I try to do is I actually try to go out and get some facts. And I want to share the facts with you, along with my experience of having been on leadership teams for publicly traded companies, having been part of mergers and acquisitions on both sides over the course of my career. I want to share my thoughts with you, and we'll see whether you guys kind of agree with me. So, Revival is saying he heard that as well. He doesn't think it will. Rumor so lame. Well said, brother. But we are on a fact mission here, right? So I want to share a couple of facts with you guys. All right. So one of the things that I learned here was that Disney actually paid $4.24 billion for Marvel in 2009. $4.24 billion. And when you spend that kind of money to buy something, you don't just throw that thing away. And yes, what they bought for that 4.24 is like someone said, they basically bought the intellectual property that is Marvel, right? Decades of rich source material, right? They bought all of the characters to some degree or another that weren't tied up in other agreements or legislation or whatever it is. They bought all of the source material. They own it, and they can do whatever they choose to do with it. But when you drop 4.24 for something, you don't just throw that thing away. And I wasn't able to find really good numbers. Some of these numbers are a little outdated, but what I did find was that in the midpoint of 2017, Marvel's movies had already grossed $11 billion. $11 billion was grossed in 2017. And I think that was before a couple of the Avengers movies, before one of the Thor movies, before Ant-Man and Wasp, and also before Black Panther. That was $11 billion on a $4.24 million investment. So that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to spend. It's a lot of money to make. And again, I don't see them necessarily throwing these things away. Now, here is what's interesting about this rumor is that the source reports are basically saying that Bleeding Cool is speculating that because I think it's the chief creative officer and editor-in-chief are going to a conference, because they're going to a conference to actually talk about how Marvel Comics' source material has been used in movie and games and other types of media and mediums, I should say, that is the reason why Well, let me back up. Because they're going to this conference to talk about these benefits, that they're saying that they are doing that in an attempt to thwart Disney's desire to sell or shut down Marvel Comics. So the fact that they're attending a conference to talk about all the good things that have come out of Marvel Comics is the very thing that is potentially contributing to them going away. The argument to me doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And Bleeding Cool is the same company, same news outlet that I think last week I spoke about, that were basically saying that DC was cutting back from 52 comics per month to 22 comics per month. And DC spoke out and basically said that is inaccurate. That is not factual. So the fact that people are citing Bleeding Cool as a reference for this is questionable. That is questionable. Chris says they have already begun to outsource to IDW. Outsource, what are they outsourcing? Outsourcing and shutting down are not necessarily the same thing. It's not necessarily the same thing. Nathan is saying DC is trimming down their titles, possibly Disney, Marvel, and that wouldn't be a bad thing if they were to do that, because Marvel put out in December, I think it was 109 titles. They can afford to cut back some titles. They can afford to do it. And by doing so, maybe the quality of what they are putting out might actually get better, right? And somebody cited some outsourcing to IDW. If you think about it, there are characters, there are series that get outsourced to other publishers all the time. Right? Like Aliens and Predators is one that moves around. And you guys probably know better than I that there are certain titles that move around a lot from company to company. It happens. And someone just said Marvel needs to cut out 3/4 of their comics. Agreed. A lot of it that they're putting out isn't great quality. And so by trimming back like DC is doing, I think that's actually a smart move. So here's what I did. This is what I did. I actually looked at Disney's Q4 2018 report. I also looked at their Q1 2019 earnings report, right? So I'm looking at their annual reports, their quarterly reports. And what I'm looking for were signs of them saying, we're going to shut this down. And here's why I did that. After having worked for so many publicly traded companies, a company that cares about its stock price never just makes a decision like that. They never just make a quick decision. They start to signal that they're going to be doing some things. They signal it ahead of time so as to not spook investors, right? And shareholders, right? So what they do is they'll say, we are considering, we are thinking about, we're looking at, we are examining, we are possibly going to shut down Marvel Comics because of XYZ ABC. That's what they do in advance of making it a big decision. And I think Disney stock, well, last time I checked, I want to say it was like $118. That's a pretty healthy stock price for this company. And so I don't see them potentially shooting themselves in the foot by shutting down Marvel Comics without signaling to their shareholders and their investors what they're going to do. That typically does not happen. Exactly. Someone's Connecting Comics says they need to test the language. Exactly. They are going to put these feelers out to see how are people going to react. And my general feeling after having been acquired by other companies, especially when they spend a lot of money. Well, it's not about Marvel, Victor. It's not about Marvel. It's about Disney. And Disney absolutely knows what they're doing. At a stock price of $118, they know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And they are not going to shoot themselves in the foot. And keep in mind, Disney actually bought Marvel back in 2009. They bought them back in 2009, again, based upon the information that I was able to find, for $4.24 billion. So it's not about Marvel, it's about Disney. And Disney, I believe, they know what they're doing. Joseph, thank you very much for that super chat. So my thing is, I don't think that these guys are going to pay this kind of money for something and just get rid of it right away. What they may try to do, and I think someone kind of alluded to this, they may try to restructure, reorganize, move some things around, kind of sort of the same way that DC is doing. If you look at it, DC is no longer in New York. DC is where? In California, because they can be now closer to Warner Brothers, specifically Warner Brothers Studio, for the purposes of movies, which is like our second big news item that we may not even get to. But Bleeding Cool basically said that because the chief creative officer and the editor in chief were doing this panel discussion at South by Southwest, was them attempting to stop Disney from dissolving the company or selling the company off. I don't know if you guys have looked into this, but South by Southwest is an important annual conference, I do believe that happens. And this is like a huge convergence of like, what is it? It is film, interactive media, music festivals, conferences that take place over the course of 2 weeks in Austin. This is like a big event that started in 1987 and has grown tremendously. That's where the Marvel people are going. They are basically going to a massive conference of 60,000 people to talk about the benefits of Marvel. Why is that not a good thing? Right? Why is that not a good thing? This same conference is attended by journalists, techies, film buffs, music fans, right? 60,000 of these type of people are the ones that are coming. This is where like John Mayer was discovered. This is where Twitter got some user traction. This is where Foursquare was launched. I struggle to see how this is a bad thing, that they are going to this conference to actually engage people in a conversation about how Marvel's source material has been used in various media successfully, how it's being used in like toys and movies and TV shows and all these other things. I don't see how that's a bad thing. I think it's actually a really, really smart move. And I'm surprised that they haven't been doing this before. But again, maybe they're actually listening to people. Maybe they're actually listening and saying that they need to get out there and start engaging people versus not. So I look at a lot of this stuff as really, really positive stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be honest with you. No one knows what's going to happen. No one knows what's going to happen. But I think that when you look at what Disney does, Disney is very smart. Disney has intellectual property, and they squeeze that intellectual property, right? They do the pajamas for the kids. They do the lunch boxes. They do the movies. They do the theme parks. They do the stickers. If it can be made into a thing that can be sold, that is Disney. You know what I'm saying? And so I even know that in these reports that I looked at for Disney, they are actually building out sections of their theme parks that reflect Marvel characters. So they are investing in the intellectual property, if you will. And again, you look at maybe the money that Marvel might be losing or not making. And to be honest with you, it probably gets rounded off in the zeros. It's probably not that significant amount of money. And again, I think if something were to happen, they would probably try to reorganize things before they actually kill it. One of the questions here, big question comes from if Marvel is now run by accountants or if they're still boarded by artists and people in the industry for the last ever. Yeah, who knows, brother? I mean, I honestly don't know. My hope is that it's still being driven by creative types. I mean, to some degree or another, you look at, and I'm guessing you're talking about Marvel Comics. I think if you start to see massive changes in the leadership of the organization, I think that that's a sign. The fact of Warner Brothers owns DC and you still have Jim Lee and Dan at the helm as co-publishers, I think that that's still a good sign. The fact that they move these guys to be closer to Warner Brothers Studios so that they can actually maybe start to do their integrated, movie network and all the universe and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's actually a good sign. But I would say if Marvel starts to lose a lot of its leadership, I think that could potentially happen. So who knows? I think that there could be some good things that could come out of them cleaning things up the way that DC has, because I think DC is doing some right things, even though people lost their jobs, which is always tough. I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing. So a couple of new people have come. Matt's here. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Anyone think that maybe Marvel DC might want to move to the AI world, meaning video games, digital toys? Again, Joseph, I think that anytime DC has an asset, they find a way to make money off of that asset. And so it would not surprise me if we started to see a whole lot more Marvel things come out of DC. I'm sorry, come out of Disney. Sorry about that. So um, I've always had a second 181, Terry. I've always had that. That is trade bait or sale bait back there for Amazing Fantasy 15. The Signature Series 5.0 that's actually back there. That was actually on the front wall. That was actually the first Hulk 181 that I picked up many months ago. The second one was that, what is that? An 8.5. That was the second one that I picked up. All right. So again, I think more to come on this topic of what's happening with Marvel and Disney. I really don't think that they're going to shut the organization down, but I think it's something that we should be aware of. And one point that I would make is that I think it's so important, whether you're talking about this, you're talking about speculation, you're talking about some of those other things that I'm probably going to be talking about later this week in videos. I think it's so important that we not just take the headline that we see about something, that we go a little bit deeper and do a little bit of research and kind of ask a couple of questions, because a lot of people were upset about this. And I'm like, I don't think that it's true, And so I would say, I have a bias for action. And what I try to constantly do is to slow myself down to kind of ask some questions versus letting myself ladder up and get excited about something before I dig into it. Yeah, Joseph is saying clickbait, bro. Indeed. Because I think there were at least 4 videos that dropped yesterday that basically had that title that I read you, which is Disney shutting down Marvel Comics. I actually used that same title for this video after the conversation started. And I basically said, what did I say? I put Disney to end Marvel Comics, ? Then I wrote not in an attempt to not have clickbait. We try to work with facts over here. All right, so that's what's going on with this thing. And then the other big news that came out that we're probably not going to talk about because I want to keep this thing moving is Warner Brothers basically confirms that the DC extended universe is not going to happen. And the way that at least one of the articles was written, it basically blames Wonder Woman for why DC is moving away from the DC extended universe. Didn't quite get that one either. I think it's a little bit of clickbait, but people weren't very happy about this one. And I get it. And I think part of what it is, man, is that I think the 2 Ds are killing me tonight. I think DC probably wants to take some time to kind of think about how to properly do a universe and how to do one as integrated as the one that Marvel has. I think that's my feeling, but we will definitely see. Omega says Marvel equals variant chasing, #1 restarts, high prices, future value of books, not good. Don't know if I can argue with that. Marvel Studios can make up monies. Yeah, so Kingpin is making an argument here that I kind of said earlier to some degree, is that the losses that might be seen with Marvel Comics gets rounded off into the zeros, right? Because again, Disney paid $4.24 billion for Marvel in 2009. And in 2017, before some Avengers movies, before Thor, before Ant-Man and Wasp, before Black Panther, the Marvel movies had already grossed $11 billion. So they paid 4.24 and they grossed a short time later $11 billion. That is not a bad way to make some money. I'll take that deal. Take that deal any day that I can. So shout out to everybody out there that actually sent me some news reports over the last several days. I think you guys are awesome because sometimes you guys see things before me, which I think is really good, that you guys give me a heads up. So with that, let me give you guys a couple of updates on videos that I'm going to be releasing this week. So I actually have 2 live streams that I'm going to be doing this week. And I think they're both going to be really cool live streams. Last week we had 2. We had CGC and we had Cover Price on the channel. If you guys haven't seen those 2 live streams, I definitely encourage you to go back and check those out. This week, we have 2 more, Wednesday and Thursday. On Wednesday, we are actually going to be talking with a guy by the name of Tori. And Tori owns a company called Twin Cities Comics. Now, why did I talk to Tori? Or why did I invite Tori on the channel? I actually invited him because of one of you guys. I put up a post on the channel the other day saying, hey, are there topics that you want me to talk about on the channel? And it might have been Big Wheel. It might have been Big Wheel. Big Wheel might have said, hey, how about facilitation? And I did some research and I found the guy that I've heard is awesome at facilitation. This is like his full-time gig that he does. I think he did 32 cons last year, something crazy like that. But Tori is going to come on from Twin Cities Comics, and basically what we're going to talk about is facilitation. For those that don't know, facilitation is basically where you want to have a book signed by an artist and you may not be able to attend the con, or you may not be able to, stand in line or whatever it is. The facilitator can actually get your book signed for you. They may even be able to do remarks and sketches and all that kind of stuff. So we are going to have Tori on the channel Wednesday at 1 p.m. to talk about facilitation, because we are getting closer to con season. And so I'm actually going to come out with a couple of videos over the next little stretch that's going to be talking about cons and all that good stuff. So it was Big Will. Thank you, brother, for the suggestion. I appreciate it. I put that post up. I got a ton of different ideas, and I kind of went through and prioritized what I could get to. And I think this one's going to be a really cool one, because I've only used a facilitator once and I used it successfully. And so I've never used Tori, but he comes highly recommended. He is going to be on the show. So hopefully, Big Will, you and others will be able to join me Wednesday at 1 p.m. to talk about facilitation. So my second guest this week is on Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. These are all Pacific times. It's going to be Ron, and Ron's going to be coming on from comicspriceguide.com. So clearly I'm on a tear, right, with these pricing services, but Ron is going to come on from comicspriceguide.com. You guys have heard me mention him several times in previous videos and live streams. I use his site primarily for like raw prices, but he is going to come on and talk to us about his services, what makes comicspriceguide.com special and different. So hopefully you guys can tune in for that, because I think it's going to be a really, really good conversation. So thank you, Victor, for that. All right. You guys are hilarious. All right. So there are two other topics that I'm going to get into this week that I'll tell you about now. I should say there's other topics I want to talk about this week, but there's two more that I want to tell you about. Somebody asked me to talk about insider trading and comic books. So I am. We're going to talk about insider trading and comic books. I think it's almost like a vlog style. I can't remember. I did it a couple of days ago along with a bunch of other videos. So we're going to get into insider trading. It's one of those controversial topics, and I've been touching on more and more of these controversial topics and trying to do it in a constructive way. And I think you guys, by and large, are doing really well with being able to have this civil conversation about topics that we don't necessarily see eye to eye on. And so we're going to get into that one this week. So hopefully you guys will check that video out. And then I am also going to do another vlog style where I'm actually going to be out hunting for some comics. So I'm going to show you guys me out in the wild hunting for some books, and then also the books that I picked up. So definitely stay tuned for those. All right. All right. So let me see. Marvel has Spider-Man Through the Ages coming out. Read it's like age. Okay. All right, cool. So let's go. Chris is saying he uses Comics Price Guide. He has a lot of questions for him. So if you guys, thank you for that, Chris. So if you guys do have questions, I would say go ahead and send me an email to regiecollects@gmail.com. If you send that email over to me, I will try to work your questions into my questions. And so it'll be a nice pairing of me, guiding the conversation, but being able to weave in some of your questions, and do that, especially if you can't make the live chat. And what I'll do, as I've always done, is to always prioritize those people that have done super chats first, because we try to keep the conversation, if we can, to 45 minutes to an hour. Any longer than that, it becomes very, very painful to watch the payback. So I want to try to keep it as tight as possible. But if you have questions for either Tori on facilitation or for Ron at comicspriceguide.com, please send them to me at regiecollects@gmail.com, and I will do my best to work them into the conversation. All right. So you guys ready? You guys ready to see who's going to win this Batman Damned #1? This is the variant, I think, by my buddy. Is this Jim Lee? Yeah, Jim Lee did the cover on this one. So let's go ahead and do this drawing for this book. I think there were 130 of you that actually entered your name into the list to actually win this. And just as a reminder, the way that this is done is that you have to watch a video that comes out over the course of the week, follow the directions that are embedded into that video for directions on how to enter the contest for the book. There were 130 of you that actually did that. And so we are going to give this book away right now. So let me pop this thing open. So Wolf was at Wolfman. I think it was Wolfman. Wolf Mode. Sorry about that. He says he actually started his membership on Cover Price. Very nice. Very nice. I actually put some books in there myself to see what they would come back with in terms of pricing. So let me go ahead and try to share my screen here with you guys so that you can actually see what I am about to do. Flip over real quick. All right, so hopefully you guys can actually see my screen right now, and you should be able to see the dice. We're going to roll 2 dice and see what we actually come up with. So we're going to randomize this thing 5 times. It's going to pop over this other list, and what I want to do is actually show you guys this list. I'm going to scroll through this thing so that you guys can see all the names. What I did is basically cut and paste from the list that I showed you guys earlier into this window. So they should be in the exact same order as what it was if you saw it earlier today. So there's 130 individuals that opted to get into the giveaway for this week. So here are the names. Definitely want to give a huge shout out to GoCollect, the sponsor who allows us to give these slabs away on a weekly basis. And I'll give you guys a quick update on something else that they're going to do in a couple of minutes. So those are the 130 names. So we're going to go ahead and randomize this thing 5 times. Scrolling down. That's 1. That's 2. 3. Here is 4. And here is the last one, and we will see who our winner is. And it is Connie. And Connie, I am not going to attempt to pronounce your last name, but Connie, you are the winner of the Batman Damned #1 variant. Congratulations to you. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen real quick, bring you guys back. So Connie is now the winner of this awesome book. Definitely want to say thank you to all you guys who took the time to actually enter the contest. And again, huge shout out to GoCollect for enabling us to actually give away these slabs every single week. They reached out to me the other day, and they're actually going to be sending me some additional things that I'm going to be able to give away to you guys. So I'm very excited about that. I think they're sending me a bunch of t-shirts. So we'll be giving away some GoCollect t-shirts for those that win the book. Maybe we'll give those away. Maybe depending upon how many come, maybe I'll do something else. Let me think about it. But in addition to the t-shirt, they are also going to be sending us some variants. Going to be sending us some variant comics. Specifically, they are an ultra rare variant sponsored by GoCollect. So I guess back in 2013, GoCollect decided that they were going to sponsor a exclusive variant. And so that's what they're going to be sending over to me. So we'll be giving away one of those exclusive variants every single time we actually give away one of these slab books. So, and I need to think more about how I want to do it. So let me continue processing that. But this book is on its way to Connie. And what I would say is, Connie, if you are watching this, please send me an email with your full name, your screen name, all that kind of stuff, mailing address, so I can get this book sent out to you. Last week's winner still has not claimed their prize. I actually can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but he has yet to claim his prize. We're going to give him one more week. If he doesn't claim his prize, we're basically going to give the book away to the second place person from last week. So I'm trying to keep all these books moving. I don't want to hold them and have somebody come back 6 months from now asking about a book. So what we'll be doing is giving people 2 weeks to claim their books. If it's not claimed, it goes to the next person on the list. And again, you have to be subscribed to the channel. You have to be a resident of the US or have a address in the US or be in Canada to win. So there you go. And so Batman Damned is on its way out of here. And if you look over my shoulder, I'm not sure if you guys can see it, there is a theme in the back of the room. There's a little bit of, oh no, scratch that, don't go with that. But there is a guy standing over here to my right that ties to the book that we're actually going to be giving away this week. It is going to be Venom Lethal Protector #1. This is a 9.8 white pages. This is what's going to be given away this week. So if you are interested in winning this book, you definitely want to stay tuned to the videos that are going to be coming out Monday through Friday for an opportunity to actually win. This is a really cool book. Definitely, definitely nice to give this away. I know a lot of people love Venom, and so this is a really, really nice copy of Venom Lethal Protector 9.8. So crazy thing is, I went to a shop the other day, had a really good conversation with a shop owner who told me back in the day he purchased 1,000 copies of Venom Lethal Protector. And he actually received roughly 100 copies of the black cover, which I think it's a print error variant or something like that. And he threw them away. He threw away roughly 100 copies of the black cover of Venom Lethal Protector. So he still brings it up to this day, and he kicks himself because he felt that it was a defective cover, that it was damaged, and so they basically threw those books away. I absolutely love the shop owner. I tend to go to these shops and I spend a lot of time there, right? Because it's just fun hearing the stories, and especially if the shop's been around for a really long time, I tend to hang out with the owners, and I learn a little something every time. And he's telling me the story, and I got a little knot in my stomach because I'm like, dude, that sucks. But he basically had about 100 copies that he destroyed. So it was tough. I was in the shop probably for like 2 hours, probably for 2 hours. And if you want to see what I bought, stay tuned, because there's a video coming out this week. I think it's this week. There's a video coming out. It's a really cool book that I picked up. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that one. But it's one of those things where you can go and you can spend your money, you can leave, or you can go to eBay and you can get your book. But I enjoy going and spending some time in the shop because it's about the experience. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy giving my money to someone and then being able to have a good conversation with them. So one last thing that I want to do before I get myself out of here is that I want to give you guys a heads up on some cons that are coming out. Someone made this suggestion to me and was like, hey, I haven't seen anybody talk about cons that are coming out, so I want to pause and I want to do it. I was thinking about doing it as a video, but I thought it would be a really boring video if I'm like, the con here, con there. So I'm like, let me integrate it into the Ready, Set, Go live stream. So there are 3 cons that are coming up in this next little bit. One of them is Retro Jacks in Jacksonville, Florida. One of them is Amelia Con in Amelia Island, Florida. And then one of them is Big Apple Con in New York City. On March 8th through 10th is Retro Jacks. This is one in the Morocco Shrine Auditorium, Jacksonville, Florida. I will try to put the URL for this one in the description. This is about video games, pop culture, vintage toys, and all the proceeds, if you are down in Florida, actually go to charity. I guess all their door stuff goes to charity. So cool there. Amelia Con is March 8th through the 10th. This is going to be held at the Rec Center on Amelia Island. They're having Clifford Chaplin, I guess is his name. He's a voice actor. He's done, I don't know, a ton of different stuff. He'll be there on site. This one is anime, comic books, animation, video games, cosplay, sci-fi, pop culture con. So if you're in the Florida area, that's one you can go to. And then the big one is in New York. This is March 9th and 10th. Big Apple Con. This is at Penn Plaza Pavilion in New York City. The guy, Luke Cage is going to be there. Mike Coulter is going to be there. And my buddy, who I absolutely love, Data from Star Trek, will be there. Next Generation. Both of those guys, along with a bunch of other people, celebrities, will actually be on site signing autographs, doing pictures, all that kind of stuff. 2 really cool artists for this one is Frank Cho and Jim Steranko will be on site. And then CGC will also be attending this one. I think you guys heard previously on another live stream that CGC is actually cutting back the number of cons that they go to. I think they went to 50 before. I think this year they're doing like 33 or 35 or something like that. And one of them is the Big Apple Con, March 9th through 10th, again at Penn Plaza. Frank Cho will be on site and Jim Steranko will be there. I'm actually trying to hunt down that Steranko Nick Fury cover, the iconic cover that he did back in the day. So it would be cool to have that cover. So there you have it. Let me see who's Amelia Island is only a couple of hours away from me, says Black Key Comics, so maybe you can swing by there. Des, I'm actually going to get to ECC and some of the other cons probably next week. What I have is a long list of all the cons that I'm aware of for the month of March, and I'm basically going to parse them out in each one of the live streams that I do on Sunday to basically say, hey, this con's coming up. At least that's my plan. And what I'll try to do is to have mid to small, medium, large cons, right? If I'm aware of them, I'll at least try to mention them, and I'll try to do a couple, so help you guys out. So if you're in the area, there you go. Big Will says he's going to the con this weekend, March 9th and 10th. Very nice. I didn't know you were in New York, brother. I guess you're in New York if you're headed there or close by at least, right? Thierry is saying that he might go. Comics, slabs, and statues. You were looking at which book? Oh, the Nick Fury, bro. I have the Domino homage cover, and it's cool. And that's how I first found out about the Steranko cover. Because I looked that book up and I was like, this is a cool book. I absolutely want it. So yeah, there's a shop that I hit recently that may have a copy of it somewhere. So fingers crossed that I can actually get it. Dying Breed says he's 15 minutes from CGC. That's awesome. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, Victor, I don't know if I'm, after the last video and all the brainstorming that I did on signatures, I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to get many more books signed, to be honest with you. I don't know, because I don't really go to cons. And then if I go to cons, I don't really like standing in a line. And then if there's a chance that a signature is going to hurt the grade of my book, I don't know. I think that what I may do if I do go to a con and I do get a signature, I'll probably do it on like a sketch cover or a sketch book or something like that, and where the grade won't matter because I probably won't even get it graded. That'll probably be the route that I go. So Joseph is asking where I am. I am in San Francisco, brother. Well, the San Francisco Bay Area, let's put it that way. Tony Miles is in the house. How you doing, brother? Joseph, how you doing? Shout out to Bueller and his daughter. Is Bueller in the house? Kingpin Comics says he is prepping for Fan Expo Dallas and shopping for colored markers for it. Very nice, bro. That Fan Expo, I've been following him on Instagram. I think there's going to be a lot of celebrities, not celebrities, but a lot of artists at that one. I think, is that the one that Chris Claremont is going to? I think Chris is actually going to a couple that I've seen recently. So I think that may be one. Walt says he got tickets already for ECC. That's going to be a nice event. That's going to be a big event. I think, did I see statistics on that when I was researching? It said 100,000 people. That's a lot of people. That is part of the reason why I don't go to cons. It's just too many people. Dad says after his first signature series submission this weekend, he probably won't do signatures again. Yeah, man. It's a lot of process. Are you talking about the expense or the process or both? Johnny Future says he is going to Seattle for ECC. Johnny actually contributed to a video that I'm hoping to create soon. And it's actually like a con prep video. Like if you were going to a con, what are some things that you absolutely want to do to make that con as successful as possible? So I'm actually going to work on that video, I think, this week. And Johnny Future contributed to that video along with a couple of other people. So definitely shout out to you guys. WonderCon is in Anaheim, right? I think that's in Anaheim. Somebody told me about that. That one I think is on my list. I actually won't be there. I won't be going down there. So Kingpin says no Claremont, but Byrne and Lee. There you go. Okay. Maybe Claremont was going to Big Little something. I see so many cons pop up in my news feed and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then Big Will says, hence why we need facilitators. Bro, I will pay before I go stand in line, I'm gonna just be honest. I can't do the lines, the standing and the waiting. That is not my thing. Connecting comic says plan the panels, only time you will sit down. Exactly, exactly. So unless you know somebody with a booth there, then you can sit down, because that's the con that I went to actually know people. And so that's how I'm able to actually sit down, because I'll go behind the counter and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to get myself out of here. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. We have some awesome content that's going to be coming out this week. As I mentioned, 2 live streams coming out, and then a healthy number of videos that are going to be released this week that I'm super excited about. We had a great content that was released last week, or I should say kind of sort of this week. If you guys haven't seen those videos, definitely go back and check those out. And then stay tuned, I think, for some really cool videos that are going to be coming out this week, including some that might be a little controversial. And I think we're going to do well with them. I think we're going to be able to have a civil conversation about something that could be somewhat controversial. If you guys need me, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am almost always available on Instagram at Regie Collects, on IG, and also Regie Collects at gmail.com, REGIE, 1G. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. And like I said, if you need something, don't hesitate to reach out. I am always around. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do so that you can stay abreast of all the content that gets released on a weekly basis. Take care.